Two iconic sounds of a Minnesota summer are the call of the common loon and the cast of a fishing rod. Unfortunately, our fishing tackle could be putting our beloved state bird at risk.
If every angler loses a piece or two of lead fishing tackle each year, and you times that by the millions of anglers in the state, that adds up to a whole lot of lost lead in the environment. And lead is an element of the periodic table. It stays in the environment forever, and it's available to be picked up by wildlife. And now is the time for us to move away from lead in the use of fishing tackle.
Get the Lead Out is a public awareness campaign run by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency.
Our campaign is centered on the common loon, which is our state bird. It's a water bird, and they have a gizzard, and they pick up rocks, and they use that to aid in their digestion process, to grind up small minnows and fish. And oftentimes they will mistake a piece of lost fishing tackle as one of the rocks they use for eating and digestion. And that, of course, results in either illness or death. Oftentimes what happens is they lose weight, they get listless, sometimes they die prematurely in the environment, and other times they get reported in by people on the lakes or cabin owners and sent to the DNR and studied for cause of death. This is a major source of loss for common loons, and it's one of these avoidable causes of death. It's just a small change that we can make as anglers and as consumers.
Loons are just one of many bird species impacted by lead's toxicity.
The Raptor Center has been working for well over 40 years monitoring, researching, educating, and trying to solve problems on lead in raptors, which is a huge issue, especially in bald eagles, vultures, some California condors, any of the raptors that scavenge, any birds that scavenge, any wildlife that scavenge. We do know that it only takes a very, very small amount. It might be the size of the tip of a pencil for a raptor, for an eagle. A single number 6 lead shot has enough lead in it to kill multiple birds. 85 to 90% of adult eagles have some amount of lead in their blood, which is not normal. Every year in rehab, we see birds, waterfowl coming in with lead toxicity, and it is a horrible thing to witness. Lead is not natural. No amount of lead is natural in a biological system. When these birds come in, we take radiographs, we find fishing tackle in the gizzard or in the stomach, or we find lead shot in the stomach. It's a bit of a detective place, but it's been just linking the two together. Birds dying of lead, sources of lead.
We've banned lead from paint. We took it out of gasoline in the 1970s. We no longer have it in our plumbing fixtures, in our drinking water fountains, but it's elsewhere in our consumer goods. Most of the terminal tackle, that's the piece of fishing equipment at the end of the line, contains lead. More than 90% of what people buy today contains lead. The split shot, the traditional sinkers, the jigs, which are commonly used in Minnesota, the slip sinkers, those more often than not are lead. The alternatives are a whole host of metals that have some weight to it. That's what anglers are looking for. They want to take their bait and they want to make that available to fish underwater. And the sources are, very common are tin and bismuth. These are two metals. You're seeing quite a bit of stainless steel. And now in recent times, especially for serious anglers, they're very attracted to tungsten, which is another type of heavy metal. In fact, it's more dense than lead. And it makes noise, and there's a lot of different features associated with it. It cuts through weeds in the lake where the bass may be hanging out. And so tungsten in recent years has really taken off. One of the issues with it is it's more expensive than lead, but as we say, the cost of a fishing trip, from the license to the car ride, the motor, lunch and beverages, maybe the overnight stay, the cost for fishing tackle is really a small piece of the overall cost.
So most big box stores carry lead-free fishing tackle. It's not labeled very well, but most store associates will understand what you're talking about and will be able to point you in the right direction. The problem is that some smaller places, like the mom and pop shops up in northern Minnesota, just don't have the purchasing power to make those decisions yet, and they need consumers to help them out and let them know that they want these products and stocked in their mom and pop bait and tackle shops.
MPCA's first campaign to switch from lead to non-toxic fishing tackle ran from 2001 to 2010 until budget cuts eliminated it. Then the Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded in the Gulf of Mexico.
It was the biggest oil disaster in the history of mankind. And our loons, unfortunately, winter in the Gulf of Mexico. And so through research and study, we were able to document and determine that about 600 to 1,000 loons, Minnesota loons, died as a result of the Deepwater Horizon accident. And then there was loss and impacts to our loon population in the subsequent years when they came back up north, they nested in Minnesota lakes, and then some of their reproductive abilities were lost as a result of, overwintering in the Gulf. As a result of some legal action, the state of Minnesota settled with BP, and now we have a 3-year, $1.2 million educational campaign to help Minnesotans make that shift to lead-free fishing tackle.
Experienced anglers generally know that this is an issue and are slowly making the switch already. And a lot of them have commented on the fact that, oh, I already used lead-free shot for hunting, and now I'm making the switch for fishing as well.
There's no doubt in my mind that people really do care about this. They understand it, they get it, they know that lead is a problem. Anybody who's from Minnesota or has visited Minnesota, when you hear that call of the loon or see a bald eagle overhead, there's something really special about that.
People who participate in outdoor sports are some of the original conservationists. They're the people who most want to save the natural world. So getting this message out that lead in outdoor sports needs to go away, because there are answers, there are solutions that don't impact our wildlife. Again, it's an easy thing we can do to take care of our natural world.